We have a short video here to explain the use of file to keep permanent records of data. So far, if we just work on the idle alone, then whatever computation done are just transient in computer, and they are gone once we are out of idle. We need to work with and to store our resulting computation. So files processing is what we need to learn. File is usually a collection of many records. For example, NUS registrar has a file or many files where each file has a record of every NUS student. Each record contains personal information, modules taken, or grades, etc. Each record is a compound data, so it's a grouping of various kinds of data. So working with file, you are reading a file or you're writing to a file. To read a file, you usually open the file, the name of the file to be opened, and R indicate it is for reading. This is assigned to input. Now we have this input, which is a handle to the file. We can do readline to get some line. We can check whether we have hit the end of the file by checking this particular line read, is it equal to empty string. And at the end of all processing, it is a good practice to close it. Now for writing to a file, you open it, the file name to be opened, and W instead of R to indicate writing, and output is then the handle of this file to be written. You can then do output.write, writing to the file this particular content, and output close to close the file once you have finished all your writing. Here is a complete example. This program is to find the longest and the shortest word in a particular text file. So this text file is called dictionary.txt. Inside you have all these words in there. And if you run this program, matrix dictionary.txt as an input file, you should get longest word is CS1010X because this has 2, 4, 6, 7 character. And the shortest word is best, which has 4 character. So how does this proceed? The front part is the reading, the back part is the writing. In the reading, first you open the file with R as the flag to open it for reading. Initialize the longest word to be empty, the shortest word to be a long one. Then this is the file handler. Reading that line will give you the first current word. And while the current word is not empty, meaning that it's not the end of the file, you continue checking to find the shortest and the longest word. And then the current word is set to the next line to proceed with the looping. The looping is then ended once current word is the empty string. Finish reading is a good practice to close it. Now that you have found the longest and the shortest word, you can open the output file for writing, and output is then the handle. You can then write the longest word is this longest word, the shortest word is this shortest word, so you will get this line and this line, and then at the end of it, close the file. So this is the whole program. It is common for you to get a file type called CSV. It stands for comma separated values. It's a file with rows of records, each row with values separated by comma. That's why it's called comma separated values. To process this kind of file, we simply use the CSV package. Alright, so this is a routine to read the file. This is a standard, and you simply call this standard routine to read CSV. So this is read CSV, supply the name of the file. Initially the rows is empty. This is a list notation. We will see list in lecture 9. And then this is the command to process the whole file. Open the file name given to you for reading as this file. You call the package CSV reader to read it, and you go through all the rows in that file. At the end, you return all the rows. Now these rows are the records, and each record has a value one after another. Here is the routine to process it, and you want to get a particular tweet by the date. Tweets is to read CSV, calling this a standard routine to read the tweets and initialize the needed tweet to be empty. And then for each record in the tweets, starting from the second record to the end. So this tweets is all the records that we read from the file. We don't have to process the tweets 0 because it's the header row, so you can ignore it and you process the rest. For each one that you get, you convert the date of the tweet to DD. T6 is actually the date of the tweet, and if the date of the tweet is the same as the date that you want, D, then T2 is the tweet, and the tweet is actually added to the answer. and at the end of all the processing, you output to it. You see this thing very common in our practical exam. The reading of the file usually is provided. You just need to know how to process records in the file.